sine of x. When you put x is 0, sine 0 becomes 0. Therefore, this component will vanish. Whereas this component b1 cos of kxx, where if you put x is 0, cos of 0, that becomes 1. Therefore, the b1 is not a 0. But in order to satisfy the boundary condition, the Ey component should be 0. Therefore, we are forcing the b1 constant to become 0. That's why here the b1 is 0. And when you put x is h, again the Ey component 0. Therefore, we are making one condition on this kx component, because this one will be in sine form. So, for the sine theta, let us say the kx at x is h. Therefore, the kx, the kh, that should be 0. It is a sine form. Therefore, this should be some integer multiple of pi. Therefore, the kh equals some integer m multiple of pi, where m is 0, 1, 2, etc. Therefore, if you bring over the h over here, then it becomes kx equals m by h. Similarly, we can compute this component b2 0, then which gives you the corresponding ky. Condition for ky will be n pi by L. So, this type of problem is normally called as eigen problems. And here the hz component can be obtained by using these expressions. So, this expression 1 by mu is some constant, and the mu is constant only when the dielectric is a homogeneous dielectric. Then only the mu is constant, and we assume that in this case the system is homogeneous and isotropic system. Therefore, the mu is constant, we can treat as a constant. Otherwise, the mu will be a function of space. Then we are calling that system is called a non-isotropic type and non-homogeneous, that is in homogeneous type medium. But the present our medium, we assumed that our medium is a homogeneous and isotropic medium. Therefore, the mu can be treated as a constant. The only thing is we have to take the derivative of Ax with respect to y. When you take the derivative of this with respect to y, then you can make this one the same way. You can apply it. Then you apply the boundary conditions for the hz, and the boundary conditions here is y is 0, the hz should be 0, and for y equals L, again the boundary condition, that is hz component, that should be 0. Then we will be getting the ky equals n pi by L. The same way we will be able to get. Now, we have the three conditions: kx equals m pi by h, kz equals p by w, and ky equals n pi by L. These are three conditions now we have got, and the boundary condition is the constant b1 should be 0, b3 should be 0, b2 also 0. If I apply these things over there, and some of the constants will be there, and you multiply all those remaining constant and you make it only one constant as a, m, n, p. A, m, n, p is the cumulative type constant. That is, there will be three different constants. You multiply it, that will gives you one resultant constant. We are naming that resultant constant as a, m, and p of. Then finally you will be getting a, m, and p is the constant which gives you the amplitude of the wave. That is here it is a potential amplitude, and it is a cos of kx x prime, cos of ky y prime, and cos of kz z prime. So this is our final vector potential. these are this value, and as I told you earlier, these are the wave numbers along the x, y and z directions, and the resultant vector will be k. So the resultant vector k is kr square, and why it is kr square? Now you see here, this is the microstrip patch antenna. We are looking for somewhere the electric and magnetic field induced by this electric and magnetic field at the source side, and the wave vector will be oriented along these directions. If we enclose this microstrip antenna inside a spherical system, then we are looking for the resultant induced electric and magnetic field along the radial directions of the sphere. So it's a sphere, and from the center of the sphere, if we take the radial direction, that will be the far distance. So the far distance from this system can be taken through the radial axis. Why along the radial axis? Because the radial axis will be symmetry over the sphere. Therefore, if you take the radiation is taking place from this antenna, everywhere you can find it over the 360 degree in one plane, and in orthogonal plane again 360 degree, totally 720 degree, you can able to get the induced electric and magnetic field at any point of interest, where the angle measured from this x-axis will be theta, and angle measured from this y-axis will be pi. So we are calling this plane as a azimuthal plane, this plane as a elevation plane, this one will be a radial direction. Therefore, here our resultant field will be estimated along the radial direction. That's why we are going to use the notation kr square as our resultant vector. So this kr square equals kx square plus ky square kz square. These are the component wave vectors, and the condition is m by h the whole square, n by l by the whole square plus p by w the whole square. And what is k actually? The kr is the radial wave vector, which is equals omega root of mu epsilon. And another one name, normally they are using a phase shift constant. Here it is named as wave vector, and this omega root of mu epsilon is a familiar expression that we know well, and and k square will be omega square mu epsilon, which is equivalent to this, and the omega is 2 pi f, and the resonant frequency f will be, you bring all these component as 2 pi and actually 2 pi whole square and mu epsilon, you bring it over here, it comes in the denominator as 1 by 2 pi root of mu epsilon, and this rest of the three components that will be present inside the radical, that is the square root of this three terms. So this is the final resonant frequency of the cavity. That means this particular cavity will support the resonant frequency of that expressions. So now the resonant frequency is controlled by the integer p. These are the three integers p, n and m. These three integers will control the resonant frequency, and also the h, that is the height or thickness of the dielectric, and w is the width of the patch, and l is the length of the patch. This also will be playing a role to determine the resonant frequency of the structure. Now this is the resonant frequency expression that we have derived by using the technique gravity analysis. Our next aim is to compute the components Ex, Ey, Ez and Hx, Hy, Hz. And the same way, if you compute these components, so the Ex component is, this is our resultant vector potential Ax, and our Ex component is obtained by using these expressions. From these expressions, the Ex will be the second derivative of Ax with respect to x. So we have to take the